If you're looking for a new pair of shoes, but you maybe like me, were not sure where to start, then perhaps this video might help you out. I am not a running expert or a trainer expert, so this is just personal opinion. Anyway, let's go to the start. There are so many running shoes out there, and you might feel a little bit overwhelmed by the choice, like I did. You know, there is support type, sole type, brand, even colour. Previously, for me, I had been running in a pair of Brooks Launch. They are a neutral gym type, I have learned. So they're pretty good for running on treadmills, maybe less so for the road. I bought them online during the pandemic, but after using them sort of day in, day out, well, maybe not day in, day out, but frequently during my time with STEPN, they were looking a bit tired. When should you change your running shoes? According to Runner's World, every 500 to 800 kilometres, or approximately every 4 months. But of course, that depends on the frequency of your runs. Also, the surface type that you're running on. You know, roads are really different to grass and also really different to rocky trails. You probably need different types of support depending on the surface that you run on. So where did I start? Well, my first stop was, of course, to ask the wonderful STEPN community. I basically wanted to know what other STEPNers out there are running in or walking in or jogging in, and I got some great suggestions. So, you know, things like really high performance race shoes to ones with a bit more support, and also barefoot shoes, which I hadn't even considered. So armed with these photos, my next step was to pop down to my local independent running shop for some advice. So I wanted to go to a shop and get that advice in person from somebody who I hoped knew what they were talking about, and that's exactly what I found. But why would you want to go to a running shop? Well, I wanted to talk to somebody. I wanted to explain how far I run, what speed I run at, the surface I run on, and also I wanted to understand my gait and do a gait analysis, which is basically where you run on a treadmill and there's a camera behind you and it basically records your foot as it strikes the surface. Running in jeans, that was definitely a new experience. Anyway, turns out my ankle rotates inward, and that's a little bit more pronounced on my right foot. So that basically means that my foot overpronates slightly. I learned also that I strike the ground with my heel more than the front of my foot. So with this information, the lovely assistant suggested I go for a running shoe with a bit more support on the inside and with a shock absorbent sole. In person versus online, what are the drawbacks? Well, if you go to the running shop, of course, you know, you're going to be slightly limited by what they have got in stock, particularly if, like me, you're impatient and you want to walk or literally run out of the shop with something on that day. So that is something to consider. I took the assistant's advice and we picked out 3 candidates support shoes. So a Brooks, Asics, and a one I hadn't actually considered, which was a Saucony. I also went for a size that was slightly larger than I would normally, and that's to allow for the kind of inevitable foot expansion that happens with increased blood flow, you know, and definitely over distances as your foot sort of moves about a little bit in the shoe. I didn't want my toes to get mashed into the front of the shoe. With each pair, I then hopped back onto the treadmill to see how they felt, and also, you know, you can look at how they're supporting your foot. I guess if you buy online, it might be a good idea to walk around or run around your house first so that you can send them back if they're not suitable. And what was my preference? Actually, it was the Saucony. So I got a pair of Saucony Guide 15, quite a striking colour too, good for visibility in the dark winter months. Yes, all the shoes that I chose, so because of my foot type, because I'd done that gait analysis, they all have support on the instep to steer my stride. And yeah, Saucony was my preference because it's got this really light upper mesh, and I really like that feeling of like having, you know, very little on my foot. And they were quite similar to the Brooks Launch that I'd had previously. So they've got this support frame to help with the overpronation and a foam sole. So they're quite shock absorbent. So that as my heel strikes the ground, then I guess that shock is absorbed rather than going through my body. And also the weight of these shoes is just 233 grams. So I guess if you've got a foot a little bit like mine, maybe if you're a woman, I'm quite a slight build as well, and you also run on roads. I tend to run about 5k up to now sort of 20k, and you're looking for something, similar, then this might be one to consider. I'd definitely recommend popping into a shop or ordering online and trying them on, along with some other pairs. I also was advised to buy 2 pairs because I'm running pretty much every day, and the idea is to alternate those pairs so that the sole essentially over distances, the sole gets compressed, and the 24-hour period might not be long enough for that sole to return to normal and support your foot in the way that it's intended. So, that's something else to consider. Do you want to buy 2 pairs? Would you like to buy a 3rd pair, something that's slightly different for a different surface? And it also, of course, depends on your budget. So these Saucony cost me in British pounds, 130 British pounds, which at the time of buying was 4.2 sole. I did ask about some other shoes actually when I was in there for different foot types. So neutral footed runner, Brooks Ghost, Asics Nimbus 24, Saucony Ride, New Balance 1090 or 1090. I'm not sure how New Balance refer to the names of their trainers, but they might be good to look at. If you want a race shoe, you might want to look at a super lightweight shoe. You wouldn't need much support necessarily, and a softer sole, plus a carbon fiber plate within the sole that can really help propel your foot forward to the next stride, essentially speeding up your stride. Then you could go for the Saucony Endorphin. That might be a good one. There are other shoes available. I am not on commission from Saucony. But, whatever you go for, I hope you find something that makes you run happy. So happy running, folks.